1162. On the endless grasslands of the Mongolian steppe, a boy named Temujin was born into a world where survival depended not on wealth or law, but on loyalty, horsemanship, and the strength of one's tribe. Within a century, that boy would build the largest contiguous land empire in human history. But his journey began not with conquest. It began with betrayal. Temujin's father, Yesugei, was a respected chieftain of the Borjigin clan. While returning from arranging Temujin's future marriage, he was poisoned by rival Tatars. His death shattered the family's position almost overnight. Without a powerful leader, their own tribe abandoned Temujin, his mother Hölen, and his siblings on the harsh Mongolian steppe, leaving them with almost nothing. The family survived by hunting small animals, fishing, gathering wild roots, and enduring brutal winters that killed thousands every year. Hunger became a daily reality. At one point, tensions over food grew so severe that Temujin killed his own half-brother, Bekta, in a struggle for survival, a decision that revealed the ruthless determination that would later define his rule. As he grew older, Temujin was captured by the Taichud tribe, who placed a heavy wooden kangwei around his neck and treated him as a prisoner. Yet one night, with the help of a sympathetic guard named Sorkan Shira, he escaped into the darkness, disappearing into the rivers and forests before eventually finding refuge. Freedom was only the beginning. Temujin understood that no man could survive alone on the steppe. Power belonged to those who could unite others. He married Berta, the woman promised to him during childhood, but soon after their marriage, the Merkit tribe attacked his camp, kidnapped Berta, and disappeared across the grasslands. Rather than accepting defeat, Temujin forged alliances with two of the most influential leaders of his time, his blood brother Jamuka and the powerful Kherate ruler Togrul, better known as Wang Khan. Together they launched a daring rescue mission that crushed the Merkit and brought Berta home. For a brief moment, Temujin appeared to have everything he needed: a family, powerful allies, and growing influence. But on the Mongolian steppe, friendship rarely survived ambition. Jamuka believed leadership belonged only to noble bloodlines. Temujin believed loyalty should be earned through merit, regardless of birth. Their competing visions divided the tribes of Mongolia and ignited a brutal civil war that lasted for years. Clan fought against clan, brother fought against brother. The steppe became a battlefield. Temujin repeatedly defeated rival tribes, incorporating their warriors into his own army instead of destroying them. Skilled archers, blacksmiths, engineers, and commanders were promoted based on ability rather than family status, a revolutionary concept in a society dominated by hereditary privilege. Every victory strengthened his influence. Every defeated tribe increased his army. Every alliance brought him closer to absolute power. By the beginning of the 13th century, nearly every major tribe of the Mongolian plateau had either submitted to Temujin or been defeated by him. Then, in 1206, leaders from across the steppe gathered beside the Onon River for a grand Kurultai, a traditional assembly where the future of the Mongol people would be decided. There, Temujin received a new title, Genghis Khan, often interpreted as universal ruler or oceanic ruler. It marked far more than a change of name. For the first time in history, the fractured nomadic tribes of Mongolia stood united beneath a single leader. But Genghis Khan had no intention of stopping at Mongolia. To the south lay the wealthy Jin dynasty of northern China. To the west stretched the Khwarazmian Empire, controlling some of the richest cities in Central Asia. Beyond them stood Persia, the Islamic world, and eventually Eastern Europe. The tribes of the steppe had become one nation, and the greatest campaign of conquest the world had ever witnessed was about to begin. 1209. With the Mongol tribes finally united, Genghis Khan turned his attention beyond the steppe. His first major target was the Western Seer dynasty, whose rulers quickly realized that the newly unified Mongols were unlike any nomadic force they had faced before. Their cavalry moved with astonishing speed, surviving almost entirely on horseback while carrying dried meat, fermented mare's milk, and multiple remounts that allowed them to travel farther and faster than any contemporary army. The Mongol military was built on absolute discipline. Every warrior belonged to a decimal command structure, groups of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000, known as the Arban, Zun, Mingan, and Tumen. Promotions depended on merit, not noble birth. Communication relied on signal flags, horns, and mounted messengers, while an intelligence network gathered detailed information about enemy cities long before an invasion began. After subduing Western Xia, Genghis Khan launched a campaign against the Jin dynasty of northern China. The Mongols swept across the Great Wall, devastating fortified positions before capturing Zhongdu, present-day Beijing, after a prolonged siege. Chinese engineers and siege specialists were absorbed into the Mongol army, giving Genghis the ability to attack heavily fortified cities across Asia. But the greatest turning point came not in China, it came in Central Asia. In 1218, Genghis Khan sent a large trade caravan to the Khwarazmian Empire, ruled by Shah Muhammad II. Instead of welcoming the merchants, the governor of Otrar accused them of espionage, confiscated their goods, and executed them. Genghis demanded justice. Rather than apologizing, the Shah executed the Mongol diplomats as well. It was one of history's greatest strategic mistakes. In 1219, Genghis Khan launched a full-scale invasion of the Khwarazmian Empire with an army estimated at around 200,000 men. Using deception, divided columns, psychological warfare, and extraordinary mobility, the Mongols struck multiple cities simultaneously. Bukhara, Samarkand, Urganch, Merv, and Nishapur, some of the richest cities in the Islamic world, fell one after another. Entire armies disappeared. Powerful fortresses collapsed within weeks. News of Mongol victories spread faster than the armies themselves, causing many cities to surrender before a single arrow was fired. For Genghis Khan, fear had become a weapon as powerful as the sword. Yet destruction alone did not define his empire. He established the Yam, an extensive relay network of mounted couriers that allowed messages to travel thousands of kilometers with remarkable speed. Trade flourished under Mongol protection. Religious communities were generally allowed to practice freely, and merchants, engineers, physicians, and scholars were often spared and incorporated into the growing empire. The Silk Road entered one of its safest and most prosperous periods, connecting China, Central Asia, Persia, and Europe under a single political authority. By the early 1220s, Mongol armies had reached the Caucasus, defeated a coalition of Rus's princes at the Battle of the Kalka River, and demonstrated that no kingdom beyond the steppe was beyond their reach. Then in 1227, while campaigning once again against the Western Xia, Genghis Khan died under circumstances that remain one of history's greatest mysteries. Some chronicles suggest injuries sustained during battle. Others describe illness or a fatal fall from his horse. His burial place has never been conclusively identified, yet his death did not end the Mongol expansion. His sons and grandsons continued the conquests, capturing Baghdad, defeating the Song dynasty, invading Korea, Persia, Eastern Europe, and establishing the Yuan dynasty in China under Kublai Khan. At its greatest extent, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe, covering nearly 24 million square kilometers, making it the largest contiguous land empire ever created. Genghis Khan left behind far more than conquered territory. He transformed warfare through mobility, intelligence, logistics, meritocracy, and psychological operations. He reshaped global trade by securing the Silk Road, accelerated the exchange of technology and ideas across continents, and permanently altered the political landscape of Eurasia. More than 8 centuries later, historians still debate whether he should be remembered as a visionary empire builder, a military genius, or one of history's most devastating conquerors. What remains beyond debate is that few individuals have changed the course of world history as profoundly as Genghis Khan.